Welcome back. Head to the mountains of northwest Wyoming and you might expect to see cattle and cowboys. But let's meet a beef industry leader whose family operation may surprise you just a bit. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter brings us a day in the life of Wyoming dairy producer Scott George.
The mountains and irrigated farmland of the Bighorn Basin near Cody, Wyoming have been the lifelong home of Scott George, whose parents homesteaded this land starting in 1947.
After they'd been here 8 years, they just were starving to death. They were hardly making a living. And the lenders told them, you need to do something to make more money. And so they started milking some cows. And that was the beginning of our dairy business. They started milking cows in 1954. Actually, it was only 7 years then since they got here, but they started milking cows, and we've grown the dairy since that time.
Today, Scott and two of his brothers lead the dairy farm with a crew that includes family members and employees. On a typical morning, you might find Scott making sure the baby calves get fed or out checking on his beef cow herd, but the heart of the operation is the milk barn.
We're milking about 450 cows twice a day. We have a good herd, good genetics, good management, good production from our cattle. We have a rule on our farm that everybody milks. Everybody milks. That is where we make our living. And we want everyone to be aware of what the challenges are in there, and we want everyone to get a feel for the cattle. We want them to know what cattle, which ones are producing well, which ones are not, how the equipment is functioning, and so everyone milks on our operation.
From milking 450 dairy cows twice each day to raising crops and running feed trucks, Scott and his family have an unending list of chores. Scott always takes a regular turn on the milking crew, often starting his day in the middle of the night.
Our day starts at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you have the morning shift, 2 people come on at 2 o'clock. Everything we do on our operation is a team effort. It really is. We have 2 people milking. We try to have 2 people feeding. We have irrigating crews that go out, and we have 2 or 3 people involved in that. When we're harvesting, it's a team effort all the way. And so our whole business is built around working together as a team and helping cover each other.
Teamwork is evident on Scott's farm, and it's also an important key to his volunteer service with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, a journey that began when Scott became a director for the Wyoming Beef Council.
In 1991, I was contacted by our dairy cooperative, and they said, Wyoming Beef Council has to have a dairy representative on their board, and we're wondering if you'd be interested in serving there. The Wyoming Beef Council, by law, says that they have to have 2 cow-calf producers, 1 stocker, 1 feeder, and 1 dairyman, so that all the industry is represented. And so I took that position, not knowing what the beef checkoff did. And I have learned since then that it does tremendous work. I am so proud to be associated with it.
State beef councils collect the $1 checkoff, sending 50 cents to the Cattlemen's Beef Board for national programs and keeping 50 cents for state programs. The Federation of State Beef Councils coordinates the efforts of the 44 state beef councils, and as a dairyman, Scott has served as chairman of the Federation.
People are surprised all the time that there's a dairyman serving on the beef checkoff. But 25% of the nation's beef supply comes from the dairy industry. And so it's very appropriate that we have dairy representatives there. And that beef is not only from culled dairy cows, which is valuable, but also those bull calves are also sold and are fed out and become part of the beef supply chain.
Through the Federation, states can choose to reinvest a portion of their 50 cents back into national programs to help direct beef checkoff investments where they'll have the most impact on building beef demand.
One of the things that impresses me is how the Federation and the Beef Board work together. And the way I see that is the way the money is allocated for the national promotions. All of those things have to go through the operating committee. The operating committee is made up of 10 members from the Federation and 10 members from the Cattlemen's Beef Board. This is where the 2 halves of the dollar come back together again. And the reason it was set up that way is so that we can coordinate the activities. If on the national level we are doing advertising, the states can use that advertising and extend it within their own states. If we're doing beef safety research, for example, on the national level, the states can help disseminate that information on the state level. We have become so good together and so well coordinated. Again, this teamwork effort that I live for here on the farm. I look for harmony as I'm singing, And I look for harmony in this national checkoff program together between the states and the national programs together. I'm proud to be able to serve as a representative on the beef industry.
No doubt Scott George is enthusiastic about the work of NCBA and the efforts to wisely invest beef checkoff dollars to increase beef demand. In much the same way, he's proud to be a lifelong Wyoming dairyman, building on a strong family tradition.
I've liked the camaraderie we've had all our lives. My mother and father worked here. I worked shoulder to shoulder with them. I've worked in the fields with my father. I've milked cows in the barn with my mother. We learned to talk and communicate together. We sang together in the barn while we were milking. And now I've had that opportunity to work together with two of my brothers. I love what I'm doing. I like being out in the open. I like growing crops. I like working with cattle. I mean, I love it. This is a good life.
Reporting from Cody, Wyoming, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
And joining me right here in the studio is Scott George. It's sure nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your election as Vice President of NCBA. Why don't you tell folks just a little bit about yourself and your duties as Vice President?
Okay, I am actually a dairy farmer from Cody, Wyoming. I'm in business with two brothers and four nephews. And so it's kind of unique to be in the leadership of NCBA. But we have a well-rounded group. We have a cow-calf operator, a feeder, and now a dairyman in the leadership, and so it represents all segments of the industry. As far as my role as Vice President of NCBA, we're dealing with all the issues. Our top priority is to promote and defend beef and our modern beef production practices. That's our top priority. And NCBA is such a multifaceted organization, dealing in very, very many ways, but all of those areas complement each other, helping to move the industry and our product forward.
And tell me, what are some of the issues you're most passionate about?
Well, I'm really interested in the promotion of the beef product as a whole, but also we have to have the policy arms working there. CattleFax recently told us that exports are adding $150 to every cow that's coming, every animal that's coming out of the feed yard. That's a great profit, but there's a great more potential opportunity there. We need our policy arm to help push Washington to open more market access so that we can even have better profitability there. That's one of my big issues. I'm also concerned about the consumer's perception of how we produce our beef today. They don't understand how careful the producers are and how they care for their animals and produce this product that the consumers are eating.
And tell me, Scott, what are some of your goals as an NCBA leader?
The cattle industry is fragmented, or has been fragmented in the past, and I would really like to see us kind of put those issues aside and work together. We need, and I don't mean any negative comments back towards anyone else in the past, but we need to work together to promote our industry. We don't need to be shooting inside the wagon at each other. We need to be working and addressing the issues that are facing us from the outside. And I would like to see that.
Well, I totally concur, and I wish you and the rest of the leadership great luck on what you're doing for the industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Join cattlemen like Scott as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. It's easy to do. Call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org.